All right, mate, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of IMO. Today, we are talking about Timo Werner. Looks like he's heading to Chelsea. Why has he chosen to join Frank Lampard and not his fellow compatriot Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool? What does this mean for Liverpool's attacking force going forward? What does it mean for Chelsea's lineup? What's it going to look like next season? And will Timo Werner be a success? We're going to talk about all that and more in this episode of IMO. There you go. We're back. Another IMO. It's been a while. It's a little bit of a different setup to what you're probably used to on the YouTube channel as well. I'm doing these live. I'm recording these live right now. So some of you would have watched this happen live over on my Twitch channel. So it's going to be a little bit different. But we've got all kinds of benefits. Like the music's coming in. The music's coming in like that. And we've got some sound effects we can play with as well. First thing I'm going to drop, boys. First thing I'm going to drop is this. And you know what that's for? That's for Frank Lampard. Because Frank Lampard is pulling it out the bag right now. Listen, he comes into Chelsea, yeah, with no transfers. Only experience for him, Championship football. He brings some boys that he'd loaned from Chelsea back with him, like Tomori, like Mason Mount. But he's working with a youth team. Tammy Abraham coming in after having a good season at Aston Villa. And he has worked wonders. I'm telling you, you can't underestimate how well Chelsea have done under Frank Lampard this season. Obviously, the season's not finished. We've got more to talk about. With the restart in another video soon. We don't know where Chelsea exactly going to finish, but Frank Lampard's having a blinder. He's had no ability to imprint really his own kind of stamp on the squad. That's what this window is all about. That's why Chelsea are going to be a very interesting team to watch during this transfer window, because most of football, and obviously what they couldn't plan for, Chelsea, is this world pandemic. They could not plan that there would be a situation where people and clubs would have a little bit less money to spend. But what it has meant for Chelsea is they've been able to hoard a little bit of money because they haven't been able to do business in the last window. Well, actually, technically in January they were because it got shortened. But in the summer before, they've obviously got a little bit of money saved. Now, you have to remember, Roman Abramovich and the like, they might have been planning for them to have a really bad season. They might have been planning for them to finish bottom half, which is clearly not going to happen under Frank Lampard this year. They're still pushing for European aspirations. So they've got this money, and we already know, and the reason I'm applauding him is not just because it looks like they're going to capture Timo Werner, but let's remember they've already got Ziyech. I don't know how you say his name. I know he's a decent footballer, though, from Ajax, okay? He's coming in, and Werner. What a great two starting transfers for Frank Lampard at Chelsea. He's worked wonders, and I'll tell you why he's working wonders. Not just because of the level of the players he's bringing in, but the money he's getting them for, boys. These are good deals. Right, if we look at the stats, I've got some notes here. So we know Werner's going to come in for around the 50 million mark. Now, this is a release clause he has. And actually, according to the CIES Football Observatory, which is like a statistical ranking of transfer values in football, Timo Werner, they reckon, is roughly valued at around 80 million right now. So they're saving about 30 million on him. If you were to pay the going rate for Werner, it would cost you 80 mil. And they're getting him for 50. Okay? Now, it's not confirmed. I've got to stress this. It's very likely that Timo Werner is going to go to Chelsea. But as I'm filming this right now, it's not 100% confirmed. So it could technically not happen. But listen, there's no smoke without fire. I think it's probably going to happen. Now, the fact is, Timo Werner's going to Chelsea. 50 mil, 80 mil valuation. That's a great deal. Anyone that got him for that value is going to have a great deal. From RB Leipzig, of course. And Ziyech coming in around the 35, 36 million pound mark is also a very good deal. Now, he's not as young as some of the other boys in the Chelsea team. I think he's 27 right now for Ziyech, but he's got his best years ahead of him. He's been doing great things at Ajax, goal contributions on goal contributions, and I'm not as convinced he's going to be as successful straight away in the Premier League as Timo Werner, but I do think he could be massive for them. I've actually created some how Chelsea's team might look lineups we're going to look at later in the video for next season. I'm really excited because I think there's more business to come. But let's focus on Timo Werner first. So why has he gone to Chelsea and not Liverpool? Why have Liverpool it seems like Liverpool kind of stepped aside. It seems like Liverpool didn't really try and sign him. And that's what we think. We don't know what's been going on behind the scenes, the conversations. But I'll tell you why this has happened. The reason Liverpool have come out of this, and it looked like, you know, Klopp's got that connection with the Bundesliga, that German fellowship with Timo Werner. It looked like a good setup for them. The reason it's not happened is because of the pandemic. Right, it's because of the pandemic. Clubs are having to be a little bit safer with the money they spend now. They're making huge losses at the moment. Like I said, Chelsea can afford to be a little bit braver because they saved the money from not spending it in the last window. What happened with Liverpool is Klopp's ultimately said, I cannot justify spending 50 million, because that's how much it was going to cost, 50 mil, whatever happened because of the release clause, on a player who might not start. Now, I know Timo Werner, you could argue, could start in almost any team in the world right now based on his form. Absolutely dominating the Bundesliga. But Liverpool have the best, maybe not just front three in the world, maybe best team in the world. You know, we've had a long break of football now. But before, okay, they started to show a few little signs of cracking. But over the last 18 months or so, Liverpool have been the best football team in the world. In the world. Can they justify spending 50 mil on a player who might not improve them? Of course, there's a chance that Mane, Salah, Firmino even could move on. You know, the Real Madrid come knocking, which they could do, for example, for Mane. There's no guarantee Liverpool keep them. But I think you'd be a brave player to leave Liverpool right now in terms of what they're going to achieve. Obviously, they're going to win the Prem. We all know that. And what they could achieve over the next few years. So I feel like if they can keep that front three around, not getting Werner shouldn't hurt them too much. One thing they've been fairly fortunate with in the past, Liverpool, is avoiding too many serious injuries to that front three. They've had a few in the centre mid, but they've got a lot of centre mids they can bring in. You know, Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum, but then they've got the Ox, they've got Keita. You know, they've got lots of options. But having said that, last year in the Champions League campaign, let's not forget they had that issue with Salah. Origi comes in and single-handedly maybe not, but massively helps them get past Barcelona. So people like Origi and Shaqiri, I think they're viewed to be not, well, they're definitely not, of the quality of their starting front three. And maybe some Liverpool fans would want some better substitute options. But I will say one thing. Be careful what you wish for, Liverpool fans. I see these tweets and stuff. People getting annoyed and complaining with Liverpool for not showing the ambition to get Timo Werner. This is the funny thing about football fans, right? They always want more. Liverpool fans should be the happiest fans in the world right now. Your club is the best team in the world. Everything's coming up Millhouse. If you're going to complain now, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be happy. Right? Last year, same thing happened with Nabil Fekir. It didn't work out. He went to Betis instead, where he has had a good season, sure. And Liverpool fans were annoyed they missed out on him. Well, what happened after that? You pretty much went on an almost record-breaking run. You could have been invincible if it wasn't for Watford. Yeah? So, Liverpool, until it goes wrong, maybe don't complain. Maybe trust in Klopp, your best manager in absolutely decades. Some people might say Rafa Benitez is up there, but I know who I'd rather play for. So listen. Liverpool missed out on Werner. I'm sure they'll do some sort of business at some point. But if anyone doesn't need to do business, it's them. And you've also got to look at the Werner perspective of things, right? Would he want to go to a team where he can't be guaranteed a start? Would he rather go to a team that's hungry for success, that's not, you know, full of people that have already won everything, that are going to have that same motivation to go and challenge? Chelsea are definitely that team. I will say one thing. I don't know what it means for Olivier Giroud, who signed a new contract to Chelsea. But we're going to take a look at the potential Chelsea team in a minute. And you wonder where Giroud fits in, because they've already got a firing Tammy Abraham. Yeah? With Werner as well, who I know is versatile, can play in a couple of different positions, but Giroud is wasting his life at Chelsea, in my opinion. Before we get on to Chelsea, one more thing I'll say about Liverpool is this. There's talk about them going for Adama Traore. Okay? A player who I think would be happier to spend a little bit more time on the bench than Timo Werner is. A player who isn't better than any of the existing front three, but on his day, if he comes in and helps out, you know, maybe fills in for Salah if he's absent or banned or whatever, injured, could on his day be electric for Liverpool. We've seen what he can do for Wolves, and he'd probably cost them 20 million less, which is crucial. Another reason that Liverpool are quite keen to not be seen to go out and splashing the cash, particularly on a player that could not be a starter, is you might remember at the start of the pandemic, they actually made 200 non-playing staff furloughed, which if you don't know what the furlough scheme is, it's something in England that allows you to use government subsidies to keep paying your staff members a large section of their normal wages without actually having to pay them yourself. It's basically it's trying to retain people in employment and avoid high unemployment numbers. But Liverpool got a lot of stick for doing that, so they reversed the decision quite quickly afterwards. But still, they did do it. They did do it. Before they reversed it, it was a PR nightmare, and they were shown to be trying to save some money. So if they're in this financial situation, yeah, maybe players taking cuts as well. What are the optics? How does it look if you then go, yeah, we're asking you to take these cuts, but by the way, we are going to go and spend 50 mil on a player that was going to sit on the bench? And Klopp knows that, and that's why they've not gone for Werner. And for the record, whilst I think Werner would have been an unbelievable capture for Liverpool, I understand the finances behind it. As someone who runs the football club myself at a much lower level, I understand their decision. So I actually don't think Liverpool have done anything wrong. I just think Chelsea have smashed it in getting Timo Werner. So let's take a look at Chelsea. Let's take a look at what their lineups could look like next year. I've had a little bit of fun with this. I could be getting some players wrong. I've also thrown some other new signings they could make in here. But let's just take a look at some things that I'm thinking about here. So we've got 2 teams here you can see. Now, both these teams include Chilwell and Ake. I know they haven't signed Ake back from Bournemouth, but they have got a buyback clause. Okay, and there's rumour that they want to get another centre-back in. So let's just assume, because we know Chelsea's business isn't finished. So let's assume they're going to sign a centre-back. Let's assume it's Ake. Let's assume they're going to sign a left-back, because they're in the market for Ben Chilwell, who I think is going to have a load of options, because Man City are desperate for a left-back too. Although Angelino is coming back, because I think Leipzig have not utilised the buy option they had on him on loan at RB Leipzig. So Chilwell's going to do very well. He's going to get a great deal if he leaves Leicester. You could argue that he should stay there. They could potentially be in the Champions League. But let's say they get a left-back, and let's say it's Chilwell. Let's say they get Ake, and they put him in with Rudiger. And obviously they've got Cesar Azpilicueta. We love Azpi here, and he can play in any of those positions. That's what's great about him, club captain. But we're looking to the future here. James is the young right-back. Now, a couple of options here. You've got Diamond on this side. You've got the new man, Ziyech. Are we going Ziyech or Ziyech? You've got Ziyech at the top of a diamond there. Kante, Kovacic. Kovacic's had a really good year. Jorginho is that deep line playmaker. And then you've got Werner and Abraham up front. Potential 4-4-2 with a diamond. That's one option. Let me know in the chat which one of these guys you prefer. And by the way, there's loads of players we're not talking about here. There's loads of players. We've got Billy Gilmore, some of you are mentioning in the chat, of course. We've got the likes of Loftus-Cheek coming back. You've got Tomori as a centre-back option. Obviously, they don't sign Ake, no problem. They'll throw Tomori in there. These aren't really about the players. It's about the systems they could play. Because you see on the right side of the screen, we've got a 4-3-3. And I think the wide positions need revitalising at Chelsea. We're going to see Pedro and Willian leave, I believe, at the end of their contracts. And Werner can play across the front 3. So if he comes in there, we could see him evil flank. We could see Hudson-Odoi on the other flank. We could see Werner play up front instead of Abraham. That could happen too. So these aren't set in stone. You guys might have a preference. I think some of you prefer version 2 to 1. We've also got Christian Pulisic. Let's not forget him as another wide man that could feature. Yeah, Mason Mount. I haven't even put him in there. Ross Barkley. Chelsea have got a depth of talent in the centre of midfield for sure. Maybe too many. With Loftus-Cheek and Gilmore, these youngsters that need game time. As an English fan, I'd probably like to see either Loftus-Cheek or Barkley move, because I don't think they're going to play enough. They've got a lot of talent, and they had to buy talent in. They haven't bought recently because of the ban. They're going to lose Willian. They're going to lose Pedro, we think, but they've replaced well. Timo Werner is great. If they get Chilwell, it's fantastic. They need a left-back, in my opinion. If they get Ake, they've done very well, and he's obviously got that link to Chelsea. Wasn't utilised in the past. Got a lot of game time at Bournemouth. Smashed it. He could come back in and do really well as well. Frank sometimes doesn't even like Kepa. He might go for a new keeper. We've heard he might want to offload him. The point is, Chelsea could start next season in a much stronger position to what they were last year. And that's not even counting for the fact that these youngsters, the Abrahams, the Mounts, the Jameses, they've got so much more game experience now under Frank in his first season. They're going to be twice the player. So I'm very excited for Chelsea, and I think the Werner addition is great. Yeah, Kai Havertz is another player that a few of you have mentioned in the chat. He could be going Chelsea. If Kai Havertz comes in here as well, the team's scary. The team's borderline illegal in attacking positions. I'm not going to lie. Chelsea's team is very exciting, no doubt about it. Let's talk more about Timo Werner, though. This is the man we're talking about in this video. What's he going to do in the Prem? What can he offer? These are some stats on Timo Werner. So, Bundesliga this year, 30 games played, 25 goals, 8 assists. Champions League, 8 games played, 4 goals, 2 assists. But across the competitions he plays in, whether it's Bundesliga, Cup, European competitions, the man scores goals. He's a proven goal scorer. He's just about hitting his prime now. And you look at this section here. He's played 200 games as a centre forward. He's played 40 games as a left winger, 18 games as a right winger. So he, as it points out here, he can play across the front 3 as we discussed. We've got him on the left in this team here. I expect him... It's only Tammy Abraham is the factor that makes me think, would he play 2 up front? Is he going to drop Abraham? I think it'd be a real shame for Tammy if Werner comes in and nicks his spot. I don't think Tammy deserves that. If there's a way they can play together, it could be lethal. For RB Leipzig, he's got 92 goals in 155 games, with 40 assists, by the way. He also sets goals up. 25 goals, 8 assists in 30 games. 33 goal contributions in the Bundesliga this year in 30 games. He's definitely ready to leave Leipzig. He's definitely ready for a big move. And my assumption, based on the pace that he has, I think he'll fit in fine in the Prem. I expect him to hit the ground running. I don't expect this to be a Morata situation. I think he's going to come in and do bits. Okay, so I think it's a really good, really good signing for Chelsea. If it happens, it's still not guaranteed and 100% signed on the line. But as I'm filming this, the rumours are that it's almost done. I want to open up for some questions now before we finish this live. Obviously, get your comments in on the YouTube video as well, guys. Want to hear what you have to say. As ever, this is just my opinion. What's your opinion? Who do you think is a good replacement for Kepa? That's from Carson3257. Well, I know there's a few people that Frank's been looking at. I think the big name that he was interested in is Jan Oblak. Now, Jan Oblak has been one of the most criminally underrated goalkeepers in the world for the last few years. Obviously, at a great club in Atletico Madrid. But if he has any ambition to leave, what a signing that could be for Chelsea. You know, you've got to be careful with Kepa because they spent a lot of money on him. I think he's the most expensive keeper of all time, 70 million. They're not going to make that money back if they abandon him now. So are they better sticking with him and seeing if he can mature as a goalkeeper? Remember when David De Gea came to the league, first of all, for Man United? He wasn't that convincing. But keepers do take a while to mature. So unless they can get a world-class replacement for a good deal like an Oblak, I think they stick with Kepa. This is what they should do. But I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know that if there's been any issues there. So it's a great question from Snowwin. He says, you're suggesting Abraham and Werner up front. Lukaku and Martinez has worked well in the Serie A, but do you think two up front can work for an elite EPL team these days? And I think what he's referring to there is the fact that you see teams like Burnley playing an old-fashioned 4-4-2 with two big men up front. But that's obviously not the sort of football that Frank Lampard wants to play at Chelsea. And my honest answer to that is no. I'm not saying it won't work. I don't think he's going to do it. I'm saying that I was really trying to show with that other formation we had up, which was not this, it was this one here. I was really trying to show that, that the depth in quality they've got up front. Whether he uses them both or not, I don't know. But he could use Werner and Ziyech in a similar sort of position, maybe out wide, supporting strikers to Tammy Abraham. But I do worry about Tammy Abraham game time. If I was Frank Lampard, I wouldn't go with the two up front. I would go with a wide system more like this. And you've got Pulisic to come in as well. So he's got options. He's got options. Timo Werner is the most offside player in the top 5 leagues. That's true. It's not a question at him, but it's an interesting statement, you know. But the question is, does he need to change that? For all the offsides he's getting a lot of goals. He obviously plays on the line. He loves to run in behind. He's got extreme pace. Now, you'd argue he doesn't need to be offside so much. If he's got that pace, he can afford to give him a yard. But what it showed you is he's making those runs, and sometimes they're not working out. Sometimes the creative midfielders are not seeing him in time. Is he going to be playing with better midfielders at Chelsea? Yes. Wow. The passers of Jorginho, the creative playmaking instinct of Ziyech, they're going to have all kinds of options for Werner. So will we see him offside less? Maybe. But what's probably more important is how many goals he scores. Would Chelsea be the third best team in the Premier League if they were able to sign these players? Boca Jacob. It's a great question. The thing is, we don't know the other signings yet. We don't know the other signings, but obviously if we're saying Liverpool and City are the best two, and particularly if they get Chilwell, they're going to weaken Leicester. That's going to bring them down. I'm very excited for Manchester United next season, though. There's a whole different video to be made there, because the signings they've got, plus the returns of Rashford from injury, Pogba from injury if they keep Pogba, Bruno Fernandes getting his first full season, and then not even talk about Arsenal and Spurs, you know? What can Mourinho do in his first full season? Too early to say. Geordie Beer, would I be happy with West Ham signing Batshuayi? Again, another player that surely has to move on. There's no way Batshuayi and Giroud are going to get the game time they need at Chelsea now. I would love to take either of them at West Ham, to be honest. I'd take Giroud or Batshuayi. I think we're a good level club for a striker like that. And maybe Everton could get in the mix for one of them. I know they've got Calvert-Lewin and Ancelotti's got him scoring. A couple of people asking if I think Kante will leave Chelsea. Obviously, it's not been helped by the fact that he's been opting out of training for a little bit during this pandemic for health reasons. He's had an issue where he fainted in training last year. He's had relatives that have suffered from heart conditions. And when you consider that he's part of the BA-ME ethnicity who are more at risk to coronavirus, I completely support his decision to not come and train. But you wonder whether that's going to affect Frank Lampard's thinking. If he's not going to play as much in this Project Restart part of the season, will he start to open his mind into systems without Kante? You know, Kante's definitely not been utilised as much under Frank as he was under previous managers, and he's a world-class midfielder. You know, PSG could come knocking. If Chelsea let Kante go, it'd be a mistake, because I think he's generally one of the best midfielders in the world. I think he could pretty much get into any team in the world, in my opinion. It all depends what the manager wants to achieve, though. Like, Jorginho is a very different kind of player. Can you play them both together? Sure, maybe. Zizou Boy says, Timo could flop. Chelsea is not Leipzig, and the pressure on him is on him. What do you think? I mean, when you come to a club for 50 mil, pressure's on you. We've seen it famously. Torres went to Chelsea for 50 mil and didn't deliver, despite having delivered much better for Liverpool. Yeah, of course, there's always a risk of flopping. That's a risk of every transfer, but I think Werner's skill set is suited to the Premier League, personally. I think his pace will be difficult. The physicality is going to be a bit different for him. He's not going to win as many free kicks as he does and probably get the protection from the referees that he's received in the Bundesliga. But I have got a feeling he's going to work out at Chelsea. I really do. Listen, I could definitely be wrong about this, of course. But I think it's good value as well. Honestly, this market, 50 mil for Werner, if he comes in for a season or two and flops, they could recoup a lot of that money in a second sale. We know, as we've quoted from the CIES Football Observatory, that he's valued at 80 million and they're going to get him for 50. So it's a no-brainer of a transfer, in my opinion. Same for Ziyech as well. Chelsea, it's a good signing.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. A bit different to normal IMOs, but I think we've got some potential for these going forward. And subscribe for more. Plenty more coming on the channel. See you on another video soon. Get the notification bell turned on. Until next time, don't go changing.